Hello everybody, and today I'll be doing a Gym Leader Challenge set review of the newest set, Perfect Order. First up is Superior with the Royal Command attack. For 1 grass, it does 20 damage for each Pokemon you have in play. And then the second attack, Solar Winder, for 3 grass, does 100 damage. And if you have Rose's Encouragement in your discard pile, it does 150 more damage. So 250 for 3 isn't that bad, but it's on a stage 2, and grass has access to Tapu Bulu, which does 220 for 4 on a basic, and you can more like it's more accessible and you can recycle it easier. Rose's Encouragement, I'll talk about this more later, but it accelerates energy if you're behind on prizes to a stage 2 Pokemon. So it can power up the Superior's Solar Winder attack and immediately put itself in the discard pile when you play it, but I think that Tapu Bulu or big basic attackers are just a better option. Vivian is up next with the Big Wings ability, where once during your turn you can have your opponent shuffle their hand and put all those cards on the bottom of the deck, and then they draw 4 cards. So consistent hand disruption every turn. They are going to be seeing a fresh 4 cards, but if they have like Boss for Game next turn, you can put that to the bottom of the deck and potentially mess their strategy up. Blow Through also isn't a bad attack. For 1 grass, it can do up to 120 if there's a stadium in play. The biggest like thing that this Vivian can do is Big Wings very, very aggressively, because it's got the Scatterbug and the Spupa, both of which have adaptive evolution. It's got access to Forest of Vitality, so even if you didn't play the adaptive evolution guys, you could still get it out in 1 turn. You can play Dawn on your first turn going second, grab Scatterbug, Spupa, and Vivian, and then adaptive evolution, Big Wings. Your opponent starts the game with 4 cards. So that could be like a very aggressive build of grass. And it can even take a knockout if you go second with Blow Through doing 120. That's very, very strong turn 2. Next up is Volcanion with the powerful Steam attack. For 2 water and a colorless. It does 90 damage times the number of heads you flip, and you flip coins equal to the number of water energy attached to it. Now, this is funny. This big attacker, like this can do a lot of damage. Um, but it's coin flips, so it's not going to see a ton of play. I think if you want a really big explosion attacker and you want to be funny, I think Volcanion is that guy. Powerful Steam, upwards of 400 damage if you get enough heads. Next up is Luxray with the Onslaught attack. For a Lightning and a Colorless, it does 70 damage for each prize card you have taken, and then Strong Bolt for a Lightning and 2 colors does 200 damage, and you discard 2 energy from it. Luxray has decent pre-evolutions. There's a Shinx with Evolutionary Advantage, where if you go second, you can evolve it immediately into a Luxio with Disconnect, so they can't play any item cards during their turn. They either deal with the Luxio, or you can come in with Luxray later in the game and Onslaught for a bunch of damage, or Strong Bolt if you haven't taken that many prize cards. Next is a new Hawlucha with the Revenge Kick attack. For 1 fighting, it does 30 damage, and if your bench Pokemon have any damage counters on them, it does 60 more damage. It does have Free Retreat as well, which could be important. Donphan with the Earthquake attack. There's a whole bunch of Earthquake style moves in fighting. Most of them are actually called Earthquake, but the attacks that do big damage for little energy and do damage to your own Pokemon see like play in fighting. So now you have a 1 energy attacker that can do 90, and fighting has a whole bunch of ways to buff that damage. And then Rainbow Energy also works if you don't want to play an Earthquake build. Attach Rainbow Energy because you're playing Okidogi, and that works with that card. So Rainbow Energy puts a damage counter on, and then Revenge Kick can take a very early knockout. Next up is Tyrantrum with the Tyraniga's ability, where if it has any special energy attached, it gets 150 more HP. And then Wreck Havoc for a fighting in a colorless does 160, and you flip a coin until you get tails. For each heads, discard the top card of your opponent's deck. Now, this can have 330 HP in GLC. It is a fossil, so you do have to like build your deck around getting the fossil in play. But I think it's worth it if the fossil that you put into play has 330 HP and is doing 160 damage a turn. And the bonus is that Okidogi with the Adrena power, you already play a bunch of special energy to activate that ability, so you can just incorporate the Tyrantrum and you don't have to add any more energy cards. It's pretty cool. Barbarical with the Stone Arms ability, where once during your turn you may attach a basic fighting energy from your hand to one of your fighting Pokemon. I don't know how impactful this is going to be. I'm sure it will cook up a whole new archetype that I'm just not thinking of right now. But most of fighting, like its identity is being 1 energy attackers that can just do a bunch of damage, and you can buff the damage, or your Okidogi and you can have 230 HP and do 170 damage a turn. Barbarical can work with Okidogi and Tyrantrum actually to put the other fighting that they need to use their attack. So you can attach the special energy for turn, attach the fighting energy with stone arms, and now you're swinging with an Okidogi or a Tyrantrum that had no energy on it prior. There's a new Gengar with the Infinite Shadow ability, where if it would be knocked out by damage from an opponent's attack, you, instead of discarding it, return it to your hand. You do discard the other cards, but you keep the Gengar. And then Mind Jack isn't a bad attack. For 1 dark, it does 10 plus 30 for each of your opponent's bench Pokemon. Gengar doesn't really see play in GLC, and I'm not sure that this is going to like fix that, because it's not like a broken attacker or anything, and there's no Haunter or Ghastly that help you get the Infinite Shadow Gengar into play multiple times. You'd have to like go through all 3 of them again if you want to get it into play a second time. And like Dark doesn't really have the means to support that. It kind of just wants to do its own thing and Guzzlord multiple times a game to just win that way. The other Dark Gengar has the Night Gate, which allows you to switch your active Pokemon from a bench Pokemon, which actually could see play in Dark decks, and it just doesn't, which goes to show how low to the ground Dark wants to be with such a lack of a draw engine. There is a new Klefki with the Memory Lock attack. For 1 metal, it does 30 damage, and you choose an attack on your opponent's active Pokemon, and they can't use it next turn. The issue is that you would be leaving the Klefki in the active spot, and typically Jirachi or Jirachi want to be in the active spot to use their respective abilities, Dreamy Revelation and Stellar Wish. Both of them allow for more consistency. I think Klefki could see play in either like a control metal build, which is something that I would be very surprised by, but it could exist. And then like just stalling early game so you can get your big metal guys set up with like metal goggles attached to it. It's taking less damage, so you can remove their big attack, and then they have to hit you with the little one that's doing less damage because you have metal goggles on, and you can kind of lock them down for a little bit. Pokepad's back, got printed in Ascended Heroes, and then kind of went up to like $5 to $10 for a little bit there, but it got reprinted in perfect order. So GLC players rejoice. You can have all the Pokepads you want. Tarragon is a new supporter. It's the equivalent of Tulip and Nessa for Water and Psychic, respectively. It puts 4 in any combination of fighting Pokemon and basic fighting energy from your discard pile into your hand. The RDT list that sees a lot of play as a fighting deck right now plays the Clara, and Tarragon's just a strictly better Clara. It's more versatile, and that's why some lists play Lana's Aid. So you can either get back 3 Pokemon or 3 energy. Tarragon lets you get 1 more and still in any combination. So it's going to be a one of in every fighting deck. Back to Rose's Encouragement. You can play this card only if you have more prize cards remaining than your opponent. Attach it to 2 basic energy from your discard pile to one of your stage 2 Pokemon. So I'm not 100% sure where this fits into the GLC environment. Gardevoir and Garchomp were like options that I thought could do something. Gardevoir can already accelerate energy, and it does more damage for each psychic energy attached to it. So if your opponent takes an early knockout, or you sit behind something like Cleffa to draw cards, they knock that out. You can go Rose's Encouragement, 2 on a Gardevoir, and then come up and Brainwave for a lot of damage. Or the Garchomp with the Dragon Blade costs 2 different types of energy, and you might not have access to double dragon. So if you go behind on prizes early, you can charge up a Dragon Blade, and Sonic Slip can carry you through the game for a little bit. And they brought back type-specific special energies. These are sick, and there's some more coming out in Chaos Rising later in the year. But we got 3 so far. We got Growing Grass Energy, which gives the grass Pokemon attached to 20 more HP. You can just make like a hilariously large Torterra with this. There's the Kricketune that gives you more HP. Torterra's already got 190, plus Luxcape is 290, plus Kricketune is another 40, so it's 330. And then Growgrass is 350, so you just have a ginormous Torterra that is doing a bunch of damage because Evo Press is a broken attack. Psychic might, it's not even a might. Psychic got the most busted one out of the 3. Telepath Psychic Energy is stupid. When you attach it to one of your Psychic Pokemon, you search your deck for 2 basic Psychic Pokemon and put them on your bench. Yeah, so it's just strictly better Capture Energy because it provides Psychic too. So like Iron Boulder in certain decks that ran Capture Energy before had to find a basic Psychic after you attach Capture Energy to it. But now you can just attach Telepath Energy, and now you just need to find any energy to attach, and now you can swing with Boulder. Guzmahala is going to be played a lot more, so I'd recommend picking up a copy or 2, just because you can go Guzmahala, and you can get like Telepath Psychic Energy and Artisan and get 3 basics down turn 1. and then you could grab a TM Evo and evolve 2 of those basics into stage 1s, turn 1, and it's a wild play. Psychic's gonna get wild. I guess it was already wild, but like it's got more tools now, which it didn't need. And then possibly the worst, or tied with Grow Grass Energy for the worst, is Rock Fighting Energy. It's not bad. It prevents all effects of attacks used by your opponent's Pokemon done to the fighting Pokemon this card is attached to. This pairs with the Tyrantrum. Tyrannoguts activates on special energy attachment, so you can put the Rock Fighting Energy on it. And then it can't be knocked out by something like the Bring Down the Axe Haxorus, because it does knock it out because it has special energy on it, but that's an effective attack. So Rocky Fighting Energy stops it from doing that. It's the whole thing. There's other cards that like do effects of attacks, like TM Devolution wouldn't work. So like Rocky Fighting Energy, especially on Tyrantrum when it has 330 HP, and your opponent has to deal direct damage to kill it, is like a lot for them to deal with. All right, everybody, thanks for watching. I'll leave a couple links in the description below. The official Gym Leader Challenge website is a great place to go to get starter deck lists and learn more about the format. And then the Cardboard Warriors website, another great place to go to get deck lists made by the community. And there's articles and there's a whole bunch of cool stuff on there. So I definitely recommend go check out both of those. Have a good one.